Welcome to Seminar Sunday. This will occur about every 12 p.m. On Sunday. Welcome to Seminar Sunday. This will happen at 12 p.m. every Sunday for every month. It will also determine based on scheduling and everything else going on in the world. These lectures are meant to disseminate or rather my research in various areas of knowledge. These lectures will primarily be on spirituality, philosophy, metaphysics, among other related subjects. The artwork that I produce now is based on these concepts and will lead into that artwork in terms of presenting that artwork to my audience. An intelligent design. To conceive, we must stop thinking and know. All sensing must cease. There is no power in thinking. Thinking but expresses the power which lies in knowing. The Secret of Light, Walter Russell. The science of an intelligent design is essentially a concept of thinking that I have formulated based on my perception of the world and its various knowledge areas. An intelligent design to me means that there's an intelligence behind it and also a live intelligence, meaning that the design itself is biological in some way. This design to me is a triad of light, sound, and form. I have broken up the energy of the universe into three basic ideas: light, sound, and form. This presentation will cover those areas of the design and is a foundational block for all of my research. I hope this seminar will help expand your perceptions of the world and allow you to see things in a new light. E equals mc squared is essentially what Albert Einstein created to express the energy in the universe. From my paper, The Science of Intelligent Design, which is available on my website, I have taken the statement based on what I believe is actually E equals mc squared. E equals mc squared is the reality of realities, or true reality, which can be explained by this equation. But one must be able to understand all parts of the equation. One must realize that c squared, the speed of light squared, can be put on both sides of the equation and eventually cancel itself out, which leaves the equation to be E equals m, energy equals mass. One must also understand energy in its entirety. The reality of energy is that there are multiple kinds of energy. There isn't just one variable that explains energy. So that is basically saying that that equation boils down to its basic concepts, is that energy equals mass and vice versa. There's never one sided to the equation. There's always two sides or more. Energy travels in a vortex, which is just a fancy name for a three-dimensional spiral. If matter is already traveling at the speed of light and life is a paradox, this means that as frequencies hit matter, the frequencies of matter increase and the weight of matter becomes less. So this statement is very, very important to the rest of the presentation. This is essentially saying that as matter hits matter, the frequencies of matter increase and the weight of matter becomes less. So as matter revolves around the universe, hits each other, its weight becomes less. That is the foundation or basic concept of the rest of this presentation, as well as the energy traveling in a vortex. These two principles are very important in terms of understanding the rest of the information. There's an experiment that kind of explains the previous statement done by Russian scientist Dr. Nikolai Kozyrev, who performed a very simple experiment in which he took different pieces of matter, weighed them, dropped them, and then weighed them directly after the fall, and he found that the weight of the piece of matter became less without breaking. This means that the matter was influenced by a very high resonance when it hit the floor. So this experiment is just backing up the previous statement in the sense that when matter hits matter, its weight becomes less. To the common observer, the only thing that seems to be causing gravity is one object hitting the Earth's surface, mass hitting mass. Matter, which is also Earth's surface, When you hit an object against another object, it resonates with a natural sound, which we know when sound is introduced to electrons creates interference and forces the electrons to act like waves. Energy, loss of electrons and protons, can actually be described as having very similar characteristics to that of water. So this is basically saying that when matter becomes wave-like to essentially the untrained eye or, microscopically, it has very similar characteristics to that of water. So it's very fluid-like, it's very flexible, and there's not much structure to it. However, experiments involving water have been done in space, which resulted in discovering that without the influence of surface tension, a droplet of water is actually spherical and very ball-like. However, when this liquid substance enters the Earth's atmosphere and hits the surface, it becomes wave-like. So this is essentially saying that without the influence of the surface of the Earth, like we were saying just previously, that water in space is actually spherical. The shape of a water droplet that we have become aware of and known of, which is a teardrop shape, is actually created based on the influence of surface tension. When you pull the shape of the water down, it elongates the sphere of the water that it comes or is naturally formed, and that creates the teardrop. So without surface tension, the actual shape of the teardrop wouldn't exist. And so this is just saying that when the water hits the oceans and whatever, it becomes more like waves. And naturally you can see that and observe that. I need scarcely say that the diamond is almost pure carbon, and it is the hardest. Sir William Crookes. So this next phase of the presentation will go into the structures of molecules and the structure and how form is really an important aspect into the intelligent design. The first part talked about light, then sound, and now or resonance, and now we're talking about form. In 1995, using a sophisticated computer model of Earth's inner core, scientists were able to find that Earth herself has an iron crystal spinning in a watery pool of iron. The crystal is giant, slightly smaller, but denser than the moon. So this is basically saying that the center of the Earth is actually very crystalline. It's saying that there may or may not be an actual crystal. It could also be saying that the structure of the Earth's core is crystalline, so it's very geometric. The secret of sacred geometry is not about geometry per se, it's about vibrations that take on geometrical patterns. So Plato himself actually reflected on how vibrations create geometrical patterns, and so this is an important quote to keep in mind as we go through the presentation. Thus, a molecule is balls of light, electrons and their charges, vibrations, frequencies create geometry around the nucleus of the molecule. In order to produce light, an electron must be shaken or vibrated. So this statement is just reflecting that electrons are balls of light and that they are important to the creation of geometry around the nucleus of the molecule. And I'll explain a little about this more in the next slide. The shape of the pyramid got its name from the ancient Egyptians, who are highly conceptualized as being predecessors of the legendary Elysian civilization, who were known to use coarse technology for all purposes. This term literally means fire or light in the middle. In diamonds and coarse, the heat, when heated or mechanically pressed, produces light, and the molecular structure of these crystals are pyramidal. The same goes with water. Water also has pyramidal molecular structure, and when in an acoustic chamber, the molecules in the water droplet expand, contract, collapse, and produce a soft indigo glow. This is known as pseudoluminescence. So this is so in the field of science, there is a branch called cold fusion. This is essentially when matter hits matter and becomes something else without the form of heat, hence cold fusion. A lot of scientists believe that this process of sonoluminescence is a form of cold fusion because it's taking water, which is a solid, and producing light from it. But what's important to know based on the intelligent design is that water itself is a pyramidal structure, and the pyramid itself, the etymology of pyramid means fire in the middle, pyramid. So that is saying that when the structure of the molecular structure of water compresses, it produces light. And this kind of process is the same thing that happens with any sort of pyramid structure. So this concludes the end of our presentation. I hope you enjoy this snippet into my research on an intelligent design, or the science of intelligent design. The actual paper will be on my website, but you will have to purchase a membership. The membership funds help continue my research and doing everything I do, and it's a good way for me to have a solid income based off everything I'm doing. This particular image is inspirational to me because it is sonoluminescence, which we talked about in the last slide. Sonoluminescence is kind of a special process, and as we spoke about before, and the light from it is it's as similar to the light from a star or any sort of other light source. So it's just an interesting, inspirational image to reflect upon.